Hello, I'm Dick.
And I'm Eric, and we're the Annuity Guys.
Well, Eric, little did we know
What a difference a week makes.
that a week ago there was proposals on the table.
Well, the House had approved
right.
the first step of
exactly, and
some changes.
And how many times, in the past few years has the House
Senate
passed something
and the President
Senate kills it?
Yeah.
It's almost never, so for such a major thing as Social Security benefits on the level that they made cuts to actually pass the House in a relatively short time as part of a budget deal and move over to the Senate and become, the law.
3 o'clock in the morning. They passed it at 3 in the morning, and then the President signed it 11 o'clock on Monday. So so now we've got the final rules, it's at this point. So things that we talked about. Now they changed a little bit. There were some tweaks from when we recorded our last segment to today. But,
right.
So the good news is for those of you that are going to be 66 prior to basically by April of 2016.
Yes.
Everything that you had still exists.
You're grandfathered in.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good.
That was one of the changes that was not effective when we were talking last week.
And for those that are at that age, up to May of 2016,
right,
they can go ahead and continue their planning.
So they're filing and suspending.
Yes.
Those pieces all still exist.
Yes.
Now, if they've done some planning, they can still do that.
Right.
And then there's a period of time that for people that were actually, I got the ages here, born between May 2nd, 1950 and January 2nd, 1954, they can still file a restricted application.
Okay.
So they have a chance to stop their benefit, but when they stop or suspend stop that benefit, everybody that's tied to their benefit stops as well. So there's no ability to file that suspension and let your spouse keep earning a benefit. So
right. They've pretty much killed that.
They've killed that. So there are some things there that no longer are available. And then if you're born after January 2nd, 1954, sorry, folks, game over. No, you're just basically stuck with the normal ability to file on your own benefits.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit more, just how folks should be looking at Social Security now and the benefits. One thing I want to mention is our book, Eric. The book really is a reference book on annuities, and we have included a chapter on Social Security, which you do not want to read anymore.
You can rip that part out and use it for kindling.
Exactly. So you'll be looking for a revised 2015, 2016 edition soon, and we've got several things we want to add anyway. And folks, I think the bigger story here is just how quickly the government can change when they want to.
We talk about contractual guarantees with annuities and Social Security being basically a legislative guarantee.
Yes.
And not
a worthless guarantee.
We're not saying that it's not worth the paper it's printed on, but just realize that things can change.
Exactly.
It's not something that's a court of law document. It's something that your guys in Congress can.
And you would think on such a major decision that there was really nothing that the American people got to participate in. That we can basically, like a political football, we can kick the Keystone Pipeline all around and debate it for years and hold back potential jobs in the economy. And I know there's the other side to it, the environmental side. But we can take something like Social Security that affects
everybody.
And we can change it in 3 weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, and it's done. Both sides agree on it. We just take the benefits away and say, hey, we help balance our budget.
Balance the budget. It's the quick and dirty way of doing it. That's exactly it. So it's not that we want you to tell you not to count on Social Security being there, but just realize it can change. So for a lot of people, it's a core piece of their retirement.
Right.
And there has to be some flexibility built into your plan anymore.
Right.
Because if that's the cornerstone, the cornerstone's got a chip in it now.
Well, we call it a plan A and a plan B. I mean, there's the ideal situation where your Social Security, your pensions, everything goes along according to Hoyle. It all holds together. It's just what you wanted it to be. And then there's plan B. Right. And that says when these things go to in a handbasket, we have Plan B in place, and that's why it's so important. And let's go into, Eric, to talking about how folks should be using Social Security now. What are just a few of the key factors that people should be thinking about on when they file for Social Security?
Well, obviously, life expectancy is going to be, I think, the primary aspect of when you file. The longer you can wait to file, yes, the bigger the increment, the bigger, at least under today's rules, and that's going to be the asterisk next to all these statements.
Right.
You're going to get those COLAs. And the one thing that you have to consider, if you're married, there's still the benefit there that the surviving spouse is going to get the larger of the two options. So
Correct.
rather than doing a file and suspend, you may be looking at staggering when you're turning those pieces on, just to take care of both of you in older age, even if one of you is
Well, and what's so good about Social Security, folks, is the cost of living adjustment. So if inflation would get out of control, you've got some hedge there against inflation, and it really works well for the surviving spouse. So a lot of times, if a husband or a wife that's the big wage earner can delay taking their Social Security. If they're both healthy, or one of them is healthy and expected to live a longer life, that's the biggest consideration they have to think about. And then they can delay taking their Social Security, get those additional credits, and the 8% after full retirement age, each year. Because what it does is it sets you up with a larger base to get that cost of living adjustment on.
Yeah, when you're adding 2% on top of what may not seem like much now, just think if you've doubled that amount, the amount of compounding that you get when you're adding 2 or 3% on at age 90. So it's a significant offset.
And also, from just a more common sense point of view, if you and your spouse, or you as an individual, do not expect to have a long life expectancy. You're thinking that most of the folks, the men in your family, or the ladies in your family have passed in their early 70s or 60s, and you see that you've got some of these issues. You're probably better off to take your Social Security early.
Oh yeah, I think right now that rule of thumb is kind of about age 80, and if you think you're not going to live to be at least age 80, take the money and run.
Yes, because you may not get it. I mean, if you passed early and you didn't take any benefit, you wouldn't get it. So, well, I think we've kind of covered the update.
That's right. There's your Social Security update for 2015.